Okay, thank you for joining me here today. This is Scott Ross, or in game at SA Ross 0219. I am doing a personal challenge here. Just something different, and also just try to help out any who wants to start off brand new on a character and take it from brand new to a DPS build. Um, this will be using a few guidelines as outlined in the Facebook group that we have that has 12,000 members in it. Basically, the rule is um, there will be only one in-game ship that I'll be using, and that is being voted upon between now and a time when I hit 50. I probably will hopefully be able to keep it going and keep everyone interested in that. Um, and it's going to be one of those ships. And it's a C-store ship I'm going to be using. I'm not sure which one. Depends on what people pick. Um, but as for the start, I'm going to be doing a join trail on the Federation side, and um, we'll be going from there. There will be no account transfer, so my level 60 character Rolac will not be producing stuff to send over. And even though I have a leech in my account bank, it will not be getting used by this character. So just we'll get started here. This is going to be a Delta Recruit character, obviously, because it's still in Delta Recruit character time. So time to start and have fun. It's going to be a tactical character, by the way. That's what I decided to go with. Along the way, I'm going to try and go through, discuss a few different things, and see what kind of fun I can have along the way. And if you hear kids in the background, that's my kids. So can't really do much about them. So just go from here. I'm just gonna. One thing I am gonna do is just do some customizations, just personal basis of things. Okay, that's interesting that they got the preserver on the trill. It's probably a bug. Yeah, that's fine with the her. And since I do have the intel stuff, I am going to use that. It's not necessary. This is just looks. It's not going to give me any sort of benefit. That's my justification for using the intel outfit here. So that's why I am going to use it and whatnot. So let's go here. Once again, it's in the end, most of this is a whatever type thing. It's not going to affect how the game plays. For anyone who's curious about why I'm going with Intel stuff. Okay, here we go. Yeah, let's see if we can find a random ship. And here we go on the way. Nothing too generic, it's just all basic stuff. You can do a lot of customizations based upon your character, what you want to do, um, and whatnot. Now, as a Delta Recruit, one of the things that happens is you get this option to skip the tutorial, to not. If you're a Delta Recruit, you have to go through and do it. If you um, come in after the Delta Recruit period, you only can skip it if you've done it before. much as possible, I'm going to skip all of this intro stuff. There'll be some stuff I can't skip due to nature, such like this. This is one of the things you're only going to see if you're a Delta recruit, so it's not like everyone created after May 21st is going to see this unless they do another Delta recruit or a similar event. This was basically designed for the recruitment period to try and boost their new members. Alright, here we go. The actual tutorial. Any new players, obviously, it's the WSD-A to move around. You can also use the arrow keys. You got these handy little things to click on, so you don't have to necessarily do a whole lot of it. You can also use the F key by default to click on those, and like so. F will accept and move on. I suggest if you're brand new, and you want to get the storyline of things, this is a great way to see the entire storyline from start to finish. Shift, for those who don't know, Shift will get you into a run when you're moving. Kind of an illustration here, it's kind of jogging, now she's running. That's just some of the things just to be aware of.
Good afternoon, Cadet. What can I do for you?
Alright, sorry about that.
Come. Cadet. I did. I did.
And just gonna skip through all that. This part doesn't really change based upon what you select. Either way, you still get the same options. Storyline for the beginning part doesn't really impact a whole lot. It's not like if you go into a game like Star Wars, for example, where you start off as a Jedi and then you can choose how to be, if you want to be evil or good alignment. You're kind of forced into one way or the other. After this next part, I'm going to take a 5-minute break here to take care of something. Or a 5-second break, I should say. And there is no rhyme or reason why I went with a female. That's just what I did.
Setting up the strength itself, it's standard. Phases are in the
Give me a second real quick. Just do something, and then I'll be back in a couple minutes. Just going to mute the mic, and I'll be right here.
Channel switched.
Alright, sorry about that. Taking care of a few things, obviously. So one question that came through on the Facebook page here was where to get the Zen sales, or the Zen surveys. Like I said, that's how I'm I'm going to justify the reason for being able to get things, and um, I'll have to look at that and I'll include it in the notes when I upload this, but there is a link that I've seen recently um, that goes into all the different surveys, and I think it's on the forum side of things where you can do it. Here we go. Maybe they changed that. I have to take a look at it, but I believe there's still a way to do things like that. So, anyways, here we go, going on with things. Program. Talk to the future you. Alright.
Well done.
First officer, way to go. Just a little. You'll do great.
And then once again, that's some stuff that doesn't really matter.
Now hear this. All cadets report to shuttle bay. Prepare for departure.
By the way, I should mention that at the very beginning here, it doesn't really matter how you're doing it. You're going to win pretty much no matter what. They do very little to really impact you. And this is another one that doesn't really matter. You can choose whatever method you want. Oh, gotta talk to some people. There we go. On we go. Let's go. If there happens to be any questions, I do have a TeamSpeak open. You can welcome to join that, or you can also type into the Twitch channel. I do have that up and running during any of these conversations. This process of taking it from this starting period to a DPS build, I'm hoping around 30k or more, depending on the build, depending on the ship. But it could take in a routine a month to a couple months. It might even be up to as much as 6 months. Depends on the time span of things and how quick I can get things going and rolling. But needless to say, everything that I do is going to be what this character and 3 other captains that I level in my own time, at my own pace, do in a period of time. I'm not going to restrict those ones to this hour live stream here. So, alright. Alright.
Welcome One course, just checking.
And I don't like the uniform that I pick kicks in until after you become an ensign, basically.
Cleared from dry dock, Captain.
Okay, let's skip all
You're
that.
at distress call number 1. Absolute good. What do you advise? Raising the shields does seem to be a reasonable precaution. I agree. Floyd?
Alright. Transporter deck. Here we go. This part is another one of those that you don't get any experience, but you still have to go and do some things. This is part of the tutorial still, as you can see by the mission menu that's over here. This is the default stuff. I have not changed anything yet to underline anything. This is the first time actually when you get in equipment that you actually have to equip it, and then to switch the weapon you can use the Z button to switch it. Okay. Come on. One of the annoying things about some of these cutscenes, this one here for example, you can't skip. And since this character needs money, everything I'm going to pick up and at least sell it at some point to make some EC. Because that's going to be one of the critical things in this character, is it's not going to have the money making methods that some of my other guys has. And these certain little things that you got to be doing, and I should take care of this. Shouldn't be on, but there we go. That's a shortcut, by the way. There's an EPS that you can shoot that takes them all out in one shot.
Number 1, we're doing our best to cripple this clean.
You can see from the menu they need to actually clean that up so it shows the only options available, because it's not like you can use a science or an engineering tactic. When you're a tactical character, you have to use the tactic. And this gun does have 2 spots, so 2 different kinds of shooting items that you can do. So instead of the normal shot, you can do a little sniper shot, which does a lot more damage. You can see there. And no, you do not really have to move around. Just kind of part of a habit that I have. What's funny is that one has a name. This particular officer here, they each have names, but later on you don't see any of them. Sorry about that. here, the flanking damage, there's something to pay attention to because they do increased damage during that point in time. As much as you hear it, you want to be moving to get out of the way of the flanking damage. So there we go.
Incoming transmission from the...
Order your crew to surrender, Captain, or I will blow them out of the sky.
By the way, that little cutscene is where you see your captain get killed. Well, the former captain get killed. And here we are getting the pilot tutorial. For those not aware, it's designed to teach you how to fly the ship, basically flying the ship. I'm not gonna do anything. So in space, it's kind of the same thing. WASD gets you moved around. Q and E by default will Q will slow it down. E will speed it up. So you have to do all these things. First thing I do on any captain, one of the biggest tax advantages that you want to get is if you click this button right here for attack, it's going to put your power into 100% attack for energy weapons, or for weapons in general. It's only going to work for your energy weapons. Torpedoes doesn't apply in this for that particular case. So you don't, if you're running an all torpedo build, you really don't need to worry about the power levels as much, so you can drop that down for something else. And you don't quite get your full impulse yet until you get your ship repaired, obviously, in this tutorial. Here we go. Maybe. Nope. What's the annoying part? If you're used to a big ship like me, you are used to going fast. And obviously, I'm going as slow as a snail. You can do this, and sometimes it does something as a benefit, but that's one of the things. So if you're on the default setup for the keybinds, or for the keys, control space shoots everything. Actually, control space just does the torpedoes, I believe. Let me check it out. We'll change it in a second here. We'll go through some things you should be changing when you get everything going. So as soon as he's done, we'll pull up the options real quick, and I'll show you the key binds so that you can know what to do there. So that button that I just hit there, this one here, the gear, is the settings. There's obviously multiple ways of doing it. For like most games, you can hit escape a few times, and you can get to things that way. Graphics, I try and have it on max. Let's go in the keybinds here. This is one of the first things I always do in the first ship. Fire all weapons, so it's Alt space by default. You just double click on it, or single click, and then hit your key that you want it to be. In this case here, since the ship comes with a torpedo and you can't really do much about changing that, you might as well be shooting everything. There's the full impulse. video on the come. That's hoping that it's going to help out anyone that watches it and anyone that watches it hereafter. Obviously, when I get done with everything, the videos will still be there, and I'll probably do something later on down the road to update things. For those who don't know, using a mouse, click and drag, you can change your view so that you can find where your enemy is. Key principle here, full impulse, click and drag it down to your menu. That way you always have it there. And in my case, I got a 15 button mouse. It's easy for me to be able to just click one of my buttons inside of my mouse to turn the impulse on, which is actually useful in a DPS run. Later on, once I get full set of beams, you'll see this change to a completely beam build on this ship here, and instead of having a beam and torpedo setup.
Incoming transmission.
And another one of these cutscenes that you can skip. This one's almost done. This tutorial is actually probably one of the longest ones of the factions, in my opinion. It's annoyingly long. Most cases, when you build up a ship, by the way, don't fly through it unless you happen to know you can make it through. You'll get a warp core breach when it blows up and end up with a ship that gets damaged from the result. As a tactical character, that is a beneficial thing, as you end up with a ability that you can use that's called going down fighting. And in the DPS runs, you definitely want to be trying to spark that, and typically you want to spark it right up front.
Yes, sir.
So most DPS members will try and spark the go down fighting skill right at the very start of any event, so that they can possibly get it again later on down the road.
Off in the readings.
Once again, get the little dialogues. It's just F to do it, and even to do the scans.
Deflector dish is realigned for reverse tachyon pulse wave, sir. Picking up a transwarp signature. It's right on top of us. The board.
And sorry, I'm just not attacking because it's over on Facebook real quick. Answering some questions there. What would be nice is if you could actually have the ability to have a torpedo build with a beam build right side by side, so that you can actually do things like a true cannon style ship. Unfortunately, this game does not set you up to do that. One other trick: right click on each of your weapons and you end up with a weapon that auto fires. So like when I go out of screen like I did earlier just a second ago, you end up with a means so that you continue to attack. I'm probably going to take this a little bit longer so I can get past the tutorials, because here it is almost 36 minutes in, and is it 36 minutes already? Yeah, it looks like it's 36 minutes, and I'm still in the tutorial mission, so I'm probably going to go a little bit longer to at least get out of the tutorials. So I'm going to try and get out of the tutorials and probably do a little bit more, so this one will probably be a little bit longer of a video as a result. But it's mainly just to try and get as far as ahead. Okay.
More transport signatures detected. Prepare your ship for combat. Get firing. I need help.
So, sometimes you get different abilities. This one here in particular gave you, here's your power to shields. I believe this is one that gives you every time. You can see here it's shield regeneration for each facing shield. It's not what I typically use, honestly. See how my weapons, they kind of go down to 90 as I'm using them. Notice how it has to self -10 weapons power to when firing other weapons. That's because you got a torpedo in there, so it's taking 10 off when it's getting fired. The torpedo should be doing nothing really. But that's one of the key things to remember when you use weapons. You want to make sure that you're using the same kind, so using all beam rays, for example, if you can. That way you don't get this weapon drain from firing the weapons as much. That's one of the things that is nice. Later on we'll go through how to change the channels here so that you don't see like every single game thing. I'll save that for a separate non-leveling process, as this is more of a leveling process that I'm trying to do here.
We're outnumbered. There's no way we can.
The board are departed. Looks like
So.
you are more strategic target. Direct your fire at the remaining spheres. Focus your fire.
Obviously they don't want you to die in your first thing, otherwise you would have died in the first thing compared to like any other thing going against the Borg in a Miranda ship, which did go against the Borg in Wolf 359 and died miserably. Delta Recruit gets this 1 dilithium ore, slight advantage that they get because of that. This is the knowledge. Okay. So sometimes you notice that nothing will come up and I can sit here and spin around. People talk about this a lot. Sometimes you have to come over here and there's this icon right here that you can click to hail. You notice how it gives you some more skills.
We have to make our way to Vega as soon as we can, Captain.
Alright, system. Most of the beginning levels of stuff automatically moves you from one to the next, up until you get over to Earth space dock, in which case from there you start flying on your own, more or less, in a pathetic lost battle that they shouldn't be able to make it out of. So in this case here, it didn't actually move you there like it normally does, which is kind of interesting, but c'est la vie. So while we go down to this next system, I'm going to use this time to show you things. This comes up hitting the U button. It shows you your captain that you have here. I could have swore it shows a different name. I'll have to review the video later on. I swore I did a different name, but maybe I didn't pick the right spot. Whatever being the case, I don't really care. It doesn't bother me, it doesn't affect me. Got some new weapons here. I'm going to equip them so that they're getting used. There we go. Notice how I switched to an all beam setup here. So later on down the road, you'll get the specializations that are open up. It's only open at level 50. Same for the reputations. You'll see more in here. And here we are at the next destination. So on we go.
He arrived before the Borg. I have lost.
When you change warp cores, by the way, sometimes it sets the full impulse on a timer, just as a item of note.
Our hail. Transwarp conduits opening all over the system, Captain. The Borg are here.
Oh no, the Borg.
Those civilian ships are right in the Borg's path. We have to help them.
And you notice now the torpedo is no longer of use because I don't have a torpedo in this ship anymore. And you can watch as the weapon power goes back up to normal, the damage will increase. In this particular case, you'll see it being low and barely scratching them, and all of a sudden, like now, it's taking a bunch off. This is playing on the regular normal default. I'm not trying to give myself a challenge, really, honestly. Just going through the show because I don't want anyone who's watching this for the first time that hasn't seen this game to get scared off seeing me playing on the elite mode. But to change it for those carriers, it's right here in the mission progress. Okay, come on, get over there. Should turn this on. Combat log. For DPS, you use this /combat log 1 to start logging. Sometimes it doesn't actually do anything until you actually start doing damage, like right now. Now the log has actually been created. And you'll see it upgrading right now.
I have Borg landing craft detected nearby. Captain, there are civilian ships engaging them. I believe I can send a message to those ships.
Excuse me.
Civilian ships, you are ordered to disengage and retreat. We will cover you.
You see these messages come up all the time saying that so-and-so has won a ship. That's from opening up a lockbox with a master key that you can get from the C-store. Obviously, it's an option that you can do if you want to, but it's not necessary. fact, I recommend selling the keys rather than trying to use them because you'd be more likely to actually get the ship that you're looking for instead. There we go. You don't actually get to do something until the alert goes away for some things. I'm gonna hit accept.
Captain, according to... No,
Yeah,
sir.
understand. See here, I got my uniform instead of the one that was on earlier.
That's one of those Borg ships from orbit.
So,
Too late? Those landing ships don't just carry drones.
you know what's funny is even though you kill everything
And the atmosphere.
in an orbit, you still have to kill them on planet because obviously they landed before you get there. No one thought of doing a scan to make sure that everything was clear and ready to go. Come on. So, gives you body armor. This is standard stuff. Oops, gotta activate the console.
Oh no, we're too late.
And no, this is not how easy the Borg is. I make it. These are so easy right now because of how low of a level you are. When you fight them later on, they actually do adapt so that you no longer can do pure damage on them, and they're not as easy at that point later on in the game. But once again, this is just because you're still a level 2 captain that they're this easy. Things do get difficult as you go on down the road. What's funny? Once again, like I said, I'm moving around just because I'm moving around, not because it makes any advantage. This is what I'm used to doing. You see these people running away when you're right there. It's like, seriously? And then these ones here will beam out before we get there, obviously. I think this one here is more of a attract you over to this location because this is where you gotta go next. You'll see different ships on this as new lockboxes come out. You don't necessarily have to be aware of what lockboxes are, just be aware that it's not a necessary thing to win this game. You know, to even be top DPS leader. In fact, most people who are in the top DPS, they end up flying a ship that comes from the C-store. Only a few ships that come in the lockboxes are actually worth getting. And it's mainly for their skills that they have that you want to get those ships, and there's only a couple that I know that's like that right now.
Another group of civilians is beamed to the ship, Captain.
Once again, you gotta wait till the alert's done before the next thing goes on. There we go.
Tank, what?
Alright, Koles, you're gonna see friends who've been assimilated.
I
Don't
know, but
hesitate.
I'm not expecting you to be bored.
And the Borg assimilated, partially assimilated. There are cases where, like you saw there, where you can use a grenade because they're in close proximity and take them all out in almost one shot there. So each weapon, each item, each skill has a very specific scenario in which it is very beneficial to use it versus another. Grenade, for example, is very beneficial when you have a group that's right next to each other. So let's go down, take care of this.
The Borg are so, what's the word? Structured? Systematic? Evil. I'm gonna go with evil.
Sometimes you can keep moving as you're shooting and get closer and it won't affect anything. I sometimes just stop to stop. Most of the time it's just to keep myself busy and feeling active, because nothing more pointless than stand and shoot in the middle of the open.
Anyone that can get a
Makes you feel like you're doing something at least.
we're packed to the brim possible.
Oops. Of course, I can't do multiple things at once. I'm trying to put the next episode on, but I've evidently
Borg like us hanging around.
forgot how to fly and change the movie. If you click the ship in the center, for those who don't know, that will redistribute your shields. That way you get a weak shield like I had there from showing them one shield. You can help to regenerate it faster so you do less damage like I just did. Obviously, we're about at an hour mark right now. I'm going to continue on for a little bit after this. I want to try and get to level 5 at least.
Never thought I wish I was back at the academy studying for the astrometrics final.
So I'm going to try and get to level 5 today here. It's going to go beyond the hour. I will probably, right after I get to Earth Space Dock, I will stop the video, take a 5-minute break, come back, and then continue on to level 5 and then break it off there. I'm going to try and do it in a 5 to 10 level sprees as much as I can. As you get level up higher, obviously it's not going to be as capable. Sometimes if you're too close to a spear, you can use evasive maneuvers to get away from it a little faster, so that you can actually do things. Now I'm going to slow down here.
A cube?
Here's a cube. Good
Guess
luck.
it's our time to go out in a blaze of glory.
Here's a few ships come in and help you out. So obviously you're outmatched and outclassed.
Exceptional effort. Now, let us finish.
So now if I had been not moving, I could have been on this side here doing straight damage to them. One thing with weapons, the closer you are to your enemy, the more damage you'll do because it won't be dropping off. As you get further away from it, the damage will drop off significantly to a point where it's actually noticeable. Cannon builds are especially noticeable on this. They have to be within 3 kilometers or closer. Otherwise, you end up with a very bad drop-off where they lose over half of it in 5 kilometers or further with no time at all. So, here the ship is now dead. Good little screenshot right there. I'm watching a cube blow up with the Miranda in the back, in the front foreground.
We held off what we could off you and
And you can see we got a couple of ships here. We got the
would make a fine addition.
Renoan, which is the one we're talking to right now. The Kittimer, which is the one that we went to rescue. A Defiant ship, an Armitage.
Congratulations.
Captain Olaf told us to get to Earth.
One thing that happens sometimes is right there. Some people may hit the mini map that will get you out of the map. If you do that without hitting the option, you can go back in, and from there you can get the text box that will take you directly to Earth Space Dock and show you this nice little view of how to get to where you need to be, along with this line here that says, "This is where you need to go, idiot. Here's your path." Not so much that, whereas Cryptic is just showing you how to do it in a nice, easy formula. So we'll talk to the... Oh, we gotta do that first.
Greetings. How can I assist you today?
So this is the guy that, as a Delta recruit, you talk to. He'll show you some stuff. Your future self. Yes, go away. Admiral Quinn. And then he tells you basically blah blah blah. We need people. You now command your ship. Gives you your next mission. So there you are, already having your mission. One last thing, this is one thing that a lot of people either aren't aware of, and you may not be doing it as long as you weigh all the time. Hitting the U key brings us back up once again. Going to skills, you got all these skills here. Notice I got a few points already. This is a set amount. You get a total of 366 points that you can use. 300 to space is your max, and it's like 100 towards ground, if I recall right, or a little less. Obviously, because you have 366, you cannot max both of them out at once. From what I understand, this is supposed to be changing. So most of the things I do or like to do is going to be in the space. I try and max that out right at first, which as you can see, you can do it right now. And then this one, you can put a couple levels. You can either drop this down to 6, so you can, well, it looks like that is maxed out. So there you go. This will make your weapons do a little more damage. So that's obviously one of the best things to do. I have a list that I use, that I base these skills off of, so that I know exactly what I want to do and why. In this case here, I'll probably end up maxing out these 4, putting 3 in here and then 6 in here. This is grenades is a great way to do high damage on ground. You can be a high DPS member on both ground and space with the same set, with the same character, I should say. So, but that's one thing that everyone should make sure that they are doing, but only use the skill points when you know you're ready to build a list that's specific. A lot of people will try and say, well, I'm a tactical character, so I'm going to max out all the tactical stuff. Not necessary. Please, it's not necessary. It really is not. Tactical officer is more than just about all the tactical stuff. You have to have some other stuff, i.e. this Starship weapon performance, Starship auxiliary performance. Both of those for DPS build are very critical, so you want to have them both at 6 and 6. Some other stuff here, structural integrity is a very good one for low hull ships like a escort and stuff like that. If you get a leech, which I will actually be planning on getting one, the Starship flow capacitors is one to have, along with these other 2 here, having stuff in there for other beneficial items. I'll go into the builds later on once I figure out what ship this character is using in the end. So, traits. This is what they start you off with. I'm going to remove these ones. These are ground traits. You know, I've gone from 0 to 60 without ever equipping a single space or a single ground trait. Space traits is a little more critical because it actually allows you to do more damage faster. If you change it up to ground traits, it does make a difference because you can see these skills can help out, like this one here, the Strike Team Specialist. It will increase your damage. So this is some of the things you need to be aware of. Cryptic is going to change this to give it a ground setup and a space setup so that it changes automatically. As of right now, you can ignore most of these. The Starship traits, it only comes from a tier 6 ship or from the specialization tree, so those are the only 2 ways to get those. I'm only going to be using what's available to me, and that's not necessarily everything in my C store. Space and reputation, space and ground reputation I should say, come from the reputation that unlocks later on when you're level 50, well 44 in level 50. And then the active reputation here, these are tier 5 traits that you get in the end. And then this is one of the available traits that's available to Delta recruits only. It won't work on anyone else, but everyone in the entire team gets an extra dilithium per kill. So this is one of the good things. At this point, I am going to take a break, probably for 15 minutes or so, and catch up on a few things on Facebook and a couple other things downstairs in my house here. So I will be back in about 15 minutes. Like I said, I want to get this character up 2 more levels before I call it done for the day. Which at this point, now that I'm beyond the tutorial stuff, will be simple stuff. Thank you. thank you for joining me. This is phase 1. This is basically the starting phase, and this is the end for right now. Thanks.